Hi everyone! We are on the last 3 pages of The Other Indians. So when we read in class, we met Travis and Lincoln, and also when you listened asynchronously. And so we're going to find out if they actually stay with them or if they move on. They were just finishing up dinner and kind of arguing. It was tense because Lincoln wants the Indians to just fit in. And then Meg was saying, we can't just do that because they're killing us. So I'm going to pick up on page 127. Remember when you're done listening that there's a discussion question for you and to click on the link and write your thoughts. The question today comes from the last line of this chapter. We didn't know that he was an animal we had yet to imagine could exist. And I want to know, what do you think this means? What could Frenchie be foreshadowing? Alright, I'm going to pick up on page 127. I had no time to check the others. Watching the muscle twitch on Meg's jaw, observing the silent curl of Chi Boy's spine, taking in the tick and creak of Lincoln's chair as he slowly lowered himself from tilt, hearing the breathing of Travis in the bony shell of his shoulders, all this in a dozen heartbeats that pushed against the collar of my flannel button-up. Travis rebounded. Hiding is all. That's what he means. Hiding and pretending you're not Indian. Some of the half-breeds can do it. Some of the full-bloods, too. He pushed an elbow into Slapper's arm beside him, looking for an ally in his commentary to make it light. Am I right? You've seen some of those Mohawks, eyes bluer than the sky, eh? Slapper managed a half-smile that looked like he had gas, and leaned away and into Riri, who had fallen asleep near the warmth of the blaze, her belly full of stew. Meg locked eyes with Lincoln, who in turn refused to look away. His was a face full of challenge and bravado. Again, it was Travis who pulled in the other direction. Me, I'm inclined to stay out in the bush, said Travis. Cities, they bring nothing but the worst out in people. Wop snorted and walked in a small circle, shaking her head. I know for sure Meg noticed this time. I've done some bad stuff in my time in the cities, continued Travis. Years back I had some bad habits, the kind of habits that make a man do things he isn't proud of. He poked at the fire with a thin stick, more nerves than anything, but I will say this in my defense. Not that I can defend myself, really. Here he looked up at Wab for the first time. I never would have done those things if I'd have known the outcome. My intentions were never to get anyone hurt. I never raised a hand against anyone, and wouldn't allow it. She stepped back into the shadows, arms still folded. He went on. And I'm a different man today. I'm out of the city. I found Lincoln here, leaving the city the same way. We teamed up and have stayed away from people since. It's better that way. Now that I know what people are capable of, why would I ever go back? You couldn't. Slapper broke the tension. None of us can. On account of the recruiters. We're bush Indians for real now. Travis laughed at Slapper's serious decree and clapped him on the thick back. Well, I think now that we've eaten and smoked good offerings together, and seeing as how the sky is falling, you should consider just putting up here for the night. He opened his arm and gestured to the clearing. We haven't heard a peep until you wandered by, and it's a good sheltered spot. Ground's not too wet, didn't take on too much snow with these trees blocking drifts. No, we need to move on. But I could see in Meg's face that he was concerned about how far the day had gotten away from us. We had barely an hour before the dark tumbled down into every nook and cranny in these woods. And at this time of year it was important to pick good spots to rest undernourished bones. Come on now, Nisei. From this spot, the clearing goes back about 300 feet until it hits a drop-off. It's secluded. You can take your clan further that way if you'd like, or you can share the fire with us. Either way, me and Lincoln don't mind. He stood up, brushed off his backside, and clapped his sidekick on the shoulder. Do we, Link? The man didn't answer at first. His eyes had become glassy, and his lips were too thick for clear speech. He reminded me of Wab that day back at the Four Winds, distorted somehow. Travis squeezed his grip on the man and smiled real tight until he answered, Nah, it's good. Stay wherever. The more the better. He addressed Rose and Wab when he spoke next, something cloudy on his face. "Stay close by. It's safer the closer you are." The girls turned their backs to him, not so much to ignore his veiled remark as to show him they had no fear of him. But you don't turn your back on a dangerous animal. Only squirrels should be able to see your spine. We didn't know that he was an animal we had yet to imagine could exist. That's it for the reading today. The question is there for you. What do you think the last line of the text means? And what could Frenchie be foreshadowing? I also almost wonder if you believe Travis's apology to Wab. I have my own thoughts, but we can discuss those in class. So the question is there if you answer the discussion post, and then as a bonus, you can either post it or we'll just talk about it in class. Travis seems to apologize in Wab, saying he never would have done it if he had known she was going to get hurt. Do you believe that or no? All right, that's all we have for today. Short and sweet. Next week, we will be reading The Way It All Changed. See you guys then. Bye.